CMS recently updated infection control guidelines for the prevention and containment of the coronavirus. What are these critical obligations for nursing homes as of today, and what does it mean in terms of liability for infected residents? Existing federal regulations require that all nursing homes implement a comprehensive infection control program. But what does this mean? First, regular observation. Nursing home staff are required to be on the lookout for the signs and symptoms of infections in residents. They should be trained consistently on the signs and symptoms of a UTI versus the flu, and so on and so forth, and be able to jump on these things early before they're able to spread to other residents. Second, there needs to be a system of reporting. Where does the nurse or the CNA go if they have in fact observed signs of infection in a particular resident? Third, an isolation plan. Depending on the type of infection and depending on the resident, they may need to be isolated from other residents. So having an isolation and quarantine plan in place is a part of the infection control program. Fourth, and perhaps most importantly, is having a hand hygiene protocol. When a staff is required to wash their hands, how they wash their hands, with what type of soap, when to use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and so on and so forth. There needs to be a policy and procedure behind all of this that is followed by all the staff. Next is ensuring that there is an appropriate amount of personal protective equipment like latex gloves and surgical masks, and a policy on when and how these are used. Next, facilities are required to have an antibiotic stewardship program in which it's documented what antibiotics are used and when. And finally, every nursing home is required to have an infection preventionist. This individual oversees and implements the infection protocols for the nursing home. So how has the coronavirus affected the already existing infection control laws? First, it has made the screening of residents much stricter. Again, previously, nursing home staff would observe the signs of infection in a resident depending on that resident's care plan and propensity for infection. Now, all residents, regardless of care plan, are being screened for the coronavirus. The staff is required to take routine temperatures of the residents and monitor for respiratory distress. Second, all nursing home staff are actively required to screen themselves. Before every shift, nursing home staff are required to take their own temperature and monitor themselves for the signs and symptoms of respiratory issues. That is unlike how the law was previously. Third, nursing home staff are now required to remain informed about the coronavirus through the CDC and the CMS websites. They must do a reasonable job in checking these websites on a daily and weekly basis for updates in the regulations. Fourth, nursing homes now are required to eliminate all group activities. This includes everything from communal dining to internal and external group activities to resident council meetings. Anytime that you've got residents grouped together, that is no longer allowed under the law. And finally, and perhaps most drastically, nursing homes are required now to restrict entry to everyone except for healthcare workers, state inspectors, and on a case-by-case basis, individuals involved in compassionate care. So for example, clergymen or bereavement counselors for end-of-life residents. Can a nursing home be liable if a resident is infected with the coronavirus? The answer is simply yes, unless the law changes. The coronavirus would be no different than any other infection, pneumonia, UTI, whatever the case may be. If the nursing home failed to take appropriate precautions under the law, and as a direct result, the resident contracts the coronavirus, then yes, the nursing home would be liable to that resident for any of the damages done, up and into including the passing of that resident. But CMS continues to update the guidelines every day, which in turn will affect the obligations of the nursing home. And this area of the law is pretty fluid, it's not static. So the only thing that we can be for sure is that everybody needs to act in a reasonably prudent manner to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in nursing homes and in the community itself. And with that being said, be sure to check back with us. We plan to make more videos just like this one dealing with the coronavirus and nursing home regulations. As the status of the law changes, we'll try to get those updated and to you as fast as we can. And with that, we'll see you next time.